I didn't create this whole scheme so that I could leave and come back, and I didn't know it was a big deal at all, and I'm so sorry.
This story is inspired by Tana Mongeau, the queen of Storytimes, and her story about getting arrested and kicked out of London. Tana, girl, I feel you, dude. Been there.
Hi, I'm Sterling. Welcome to my channel. It's all about the exploratory, and I'm really big on sharing stories. Subscribe for good vibes!
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. And as you can see, if you've been here before, we are in the story corner. Yeah! I have another story time for you, part of our travel series. I love to tell stories about my global travels because I've been so many places and I've learned so many things, mostly through making huge mistakes that I tell you about on this channel. I have the Ladies Guide to Traveling Solo Volume 1 available for you in the comment box down below, and I'll tell you more about that at the end of the video. This story took place many moons ago when I was living in Europe. So I've been in England for about 6 months. I went to circus school there at Greentop Circus Academy in Sheffield, England. It was fantastic. It was one of the most amazing times. I have many other stories about that I will share with you here, so stay tuned onto the channel. Make sure you subscribe. And at this point, I had entered England on a 6-month student visa, which is something that you can get automatically upon entry as a US citizen if you have proof that you are studying there. If you want a visa that is longer than 6 months, you have to go through a much more rigorous application process, and you need to get the visa before you arrive in England. My program was only 3 months long, so I automatically qualified for the 6-month visa just by showing them that I was enrolled in the program. The thing was, after being there for 6 months, I had made so many amazing circus freak friends and connections and started a band called Slamboree with a bunch of really amazing musicians and a bunch of my circus friends, and we were getting ready to tour the UK and perform at the festivals all spring and summer long during festival season. And I was running out. I had 2 weeks left of my 6-month visa, and I needed to figure out a way to get to stay in the UK that wasn't completely illegal. So I decided to border hop, and what that meant was I got a super cheap, like £30 ticket on Ryanair. It wasn't very heavy. And I flew into Barcelona, and actually they didn't even stamp my passport, which was a concern later. I flew to Barcelona, and then I went to the Pyrenees Mountains in France, and I stayed with a friend there. We recorded a bunch of music, and we had amazing epic adventures in the Pyrenees mountain range, which is along the border of Spain and France, and I also have a lot of those stories. If you want me to share, make sure you comment down below and let me know. On the way back through Barcelona, I had to make sure they stamped my passport because they hadn't done that before, and the whole angle I was chasing here was that I would have this stamp on my passport to show that I had been out of England. And then, theoretically, I could re-enter England on a 3-month tourist visa, which would get me all the way through the festival season, so I would be able to perform without having that horrible red stamp on your passport, which means that you can't come back because you've overstayed your visa. You don't want that. Story is inspired by Tana Mongeau, the queen of Storytimes, and her story about getting arrested and kicked out of London. Tana, girl, I feel you, dude. Totally know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm gonna tell you this story, so thank you for the inspiration. And if you guys haven't checked out Tana's channel, I'll link it down below. She's fantastic and hilarious and outrageous and says what she wants to say. So they go ahead and stamp my passport in Barcelona because I told them, I was like, I came 2 weeks ago, you forgot to stamp me in. Can you stamp me in and stamp me out? Which isn't really that normal of a thing if you're coming from within the EU. This was when the UK was still part of the EU, because it's one entire area that you have have one visa in to travel around freely. So I sort of had to, you know, play a little angle there to get that stamp.
Play a little angle, for those of you that are unaware, is nice girl speak. Directly translated, it means run a con.
It's what I needed because when I flew back into Bristol, I could then show, hey, I was in France and now I'm here for a 3-month tourist visa. And that theoretically should have worked. Bristol's a small airport, it's really easeful. I'd gotten off of a Ryanair flight, which is an intercontinental thing.
No big deal.
It's pretty easy to travel around Europe with a US passport, it's one of those things. And so I wasn't worried too much about it. Get off the plane, I walk up to customs, I wait my turn nicely, I have my circus toys, I have my fire fans, I have my hula hoop. I'm obviously a circus performer. So I walk up to the gate and they ask me like, oh, you know, what's up? What are you here for?
So they didn't say, what's up, what are you here for? Obviously. It was something much more official than that. I just can't remember the exact quote.
And I mentioned that I'm a performer. And that was my mistake. Because that immediately sent off the red flag for them that I was there to make money. Because why would a performer perform for free? Which is what I was doing. It's not like I was getting paid for those gigs, but that's just because I didn't know how to ask for what I was worth. And, you know, you get into festivals for free and get paid to eat and get to jump around on stage and act crazy with your friends. I mean, I felt like I was getting a great deal out of it, but using the word performer made them think that I was there to make money. And so then I had to backpedal massively and be like, oh no, that's not what it's about. I was just here studying circus. That's why I said I was a performer, because I am a performer in training, but now I'm here to be a tourist, and you know, that's why I left. And I just played really innocent, like,
No, I didn't create this whole scheme so that I could leave and come back, and I didn't know it was a big deal at all, and I'm so sorry.
so they take my passport from me, which is like the biggest #1 no-no. Like, never let anyone take your passport from you when you're traveling internationally, especially when you're traveling by yourself. Just don't do that. That's like a bad thing. A bad thing.
If you dig today's outfit of the day, or the flavor of anything you've seen me wear and you want this style, check out my collection on Depop. Items worn on the show or shown on social media at Sterling Mariah will be made available there for a limited time as one-of-a-kind swag, along with other treasures I find along the way. Sizes vary.
They take my passport from me. They detain my passport. And they take me from the line around the fence to this door. They unlock the door from the outside. They have me walk in. This door is white on all sides, completely blank. There's a door on either end with a tiny window in each. Each door is locked. There's a table and chairs, and the table and the chairs are screwed to the floor. So no one can get enraged and weaponize the tables and chairs, apparently, and they have me sit and leave with my passport through the other door, and now both doors are locked from the outside, and I am in this room, and I sit in this room for an indefinite period of time, and I'm just like, oh shit, what am I gonna do now? What happens when you get sent away from a country? What happens when you get deported? Like, where do you go? Like, I haven't been back to the US in 6 months at this point. I've been living in the UK. That is where my things are. So they come back in with a whole stack of paperwork, and this gentleman,
He was the good cop.
and starts asking me specific questions and to tell my story. And there's like 7 pages that he writes down verbatim every word I tell him, and he has me sign at the bottom of every page. And he's asking me about what festivals I'm gonna go to, who's on the lineup. He's double checking online to see that I know who's actually on the lineup. He's asking me where I'm planning on staying. He's asking for the phone numbers of the people I know that I'm staying with. He's asking me how I fund all of this, and I can't really say, oh,
I'm a gutter punk hippie kid, and I'm just wandering around with a backpack, hitchhiking all over your country, and pulling food out of dumpsters.
so I say,
Oh, my parents are.
which is, you know, a complete lie, but it's actually more believable to them in that instance. Like,
No, I'm not here to perform and make money. I'm not busking on the streets. I have rich parents, and they're paying for me to travel.
like, for some reason that's a more believable story, so that's the one I spun. Then another officer comes in, and she's a female, and they're good cop, bad copping me, super hardcore, and he's being buddy-buddy, asking what my favorite kind of music is, and she's like,
Well, you've overstayed your visa, and we're gonna have to this and send you there and take the thing.
and he's like,
Oh, well, you know,
he even at one point takes her out of the room, and they put on a little show of disagreeing with each other next to the window that's this big in front of me. For my benefit, I can see, you know, that he's got my back and he's talking her down. And eventually, after about 45 minutes, they come back in. I've signed all the papers. They give me my passport back. They're like, look,
If you're not working here, you're not making any money, and you promise to leave before this 3 months is up, you can stay for the summer as a tourist.
But we better not find out that you're making any money. You better not overstay this visa, or you will not be allowed back in England.
and I'm just like, yes, praise the Lord. Thank you for blessing me with the acting skills to pull this off. And thank you for letting me back into the country so that I can tour with my band and sing on stages and see my friends again, including my boyfriend, and get all my things that I left in his house because I'm still living here, etc. etc. So I get outside and I hitchhike into the city, and I go to the place of the guy that I was staying with, that I was seeing, and he's like,
Yeah, so the Border Patrol called me today and asked if I was picking anyone up at the airport, and obviously I wasn't expecting to pick you up, so I said no, and then I realized, oh, they're probably talking about Sterling. Maybe I should say yes.
yes. And it turns out they called every single reference in England that I gave them, had the people back up that I was who I said I was, that I was a student, that I was just gonna go around and be a tourist over the summer. And luckily my friends are down and they weren't trying to get me deported, so they went along with the story. But I still have the sticker on the back of my passport that denoted that I needed to be sent into the back room and detained, and that's the time that I almost got arrested and kicked out of London.
Bonus points if you noticed that I meant to say Bristol right there.
Flash forward all the way through the summer of epicness, touring with my band all over the country and playing on main stages, etc., etc. I'm leaving to fly back to the US for Burning Man, and I'm routed from the UK out through Amsterdam. And I'm ready to get on my plane in Amsterdam, and I walk up to this little computer passport scanny stand immediately between me and the boarding plank to get out to the plane, and this woman is there manning this computer. She takes my passport and she scans it, and whatever comes up on her screen is like,
Red flag! Stop this girl! Ask her questions!
and it is literally, I think, 2 days before my 3-month tourist visa was up. I timed it pretty precisely. I was not trying to piss anyone off and get locked in the white room with the furniture screwed to the floor again. So she stops me, she looks at my passport, she looks at my face, and she asks me a series of 5 questions. And I remembered these questions because they were part of that 7-page document that he wrote down my answers verbatim and had me sign the bottom of. And so I gave her, as close as I could, word for word, the answers that I had initially given in that room where I was detained way back 3 months before. And I passed the test. And she let me on the plane, and I got out of the EU, and I didn't get the red stamp, and England let me back in the next year, and it was wonderful. But I get this feeling that if I hadn't passed that test, things might not have gone so smoothly. And I love Europe, so I really don't want to piss them off. I want to be allowed back in Europe. I want to move there and grow old there among the rolling hills. Probably not in the UK though, somewhere a little bit warmer and less wet. But thank you, Tana, for the inspiration for this video. And for any of you that are interested in learning more about traveling solo, how to do it safe, and the lessons that I've learned through trial and a lot of error, check out the link in the description box down below where I share my tips and tricks for traveling solo. Have you ever been busted by Border Patrol? Have you ever wanted to travel to another country but you don't know what the visa requirements are? Have you ever thought that you weren't gonna make it to the place you wanted to go? What do you think about border crossings? Are they important? Should we be building walls, or should we be knocking them down? If you've ever been in a situation where you knew that your answer was the determining factor to whether you would be allowed to move forward or not, let us know down in the comments below. Thanks for making space in your brain for this video. Hit the thumbs up, share with someone you care for, subscribe for good vibes, ring my bell to be notified every time I upload a new video.